One of the most common questions that we are often asked in our seminars is, how can I tell if it's my imagination or not? So I wanted just to speak to you briefly about this today, and this is one of the challenges of what we call mental mediumship. Now I'll explain this. When we look back many years ago, back into the 1800s, a lot of our mediums worked with what we call physical mediumship. This was more common, it was more popular, and physical mediumship is where we see things happening with our physical eyes. We don't have to be clairvoyant to see it happening, so we can get things like materializations where there's ectoplasm present. We can have spirit light, supports, so many different things, and it was all of a physical nature, and this was kind of needed back then, back in the 1800s. But as we move forward to our present day, we find that many mediums work with something which is known as mental mediumship, and I'll explain this for you. Now, mental mediumship is quite complex really for the medium, and it really is, they may be shown images with their clairvoyance from the spirit. This could be subjective or objective. And they can be given feelings as well, or perhaps they can hear with their clairaudience. So with mental mediumship, the spirit is stimulating the senses of the medium. And it's down to the perception of the medium to be able to interpret those. So whether or not they're interpreted correctly is down to experience and development. I'm afraid there's no quick fix for this. However, a lot of our students always ask, how would I know? How do I know if it's my imagination? And my answer is always, well, you'll get to know. There's many reasons for a no in a communication, whether it's a private sitting or a public demonstration. And we will go into that in another video. But for this purpose of this video, this is to talk about the mental mediumship and the problems with that, the challenges that it brings for the medium. And sometimes the medium may be shown, for example, a picture of a house in their mind, or a train, or some kind of symbology that the spirit may be working with. And then the medium has to interpret, okay, so what does that mean? What does it mean? And this is where they work with their clairsentience as well, to be able to bring that feeling. Okay, so I'm seeing shown a house, but what feeling accompanies that? Does it signify a house that the spirit person lived in? Is this what they're showing me, the area they lived? Or does it signify a house move or a family situation with the sitter? So there's many different interpretations that a house could mean, that a symbol could mean for the medium. And it really is down to the medium to interpret this in the correct way and to deliver it to the recipient in a way that they can understand and know it to be true. So, and this really comes down to the attunement of the medium. So how well tuned in they are to the spirit world. And in England we call it attunement. And if the more attuned a medium is to the spirit world, the clearer their messages and images and feelings and clairaudience may be. And again, this goes right back to awareness. When we first start to sit for awareness, awareness is the first step in spiritual development. And it's where we connect to our innermost self, the innermost part of us, the spiritual aspect of who we are, and start to kind of awaken those spiritual senses, like the clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience. There's many different clairs. But for the sake of mediumship, we're going to really be focusing on the clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience. Obviously, you get the smelling as well, the scents that come with the spirit. And it's about being able to tune into those senses, make them stronger, make you more sensitive. So awareness is about being able to become more aware of energy, more sensitive to energy, more aware of signs, more aware of your feelings, your intuition. And this is where it all starts for the medium. So if the medium has good grounding and good foundations in place through their awareness training, then this is kind of the building blocks for the next step, which is your mediumship development, you see. And it's the mediumship development where we develop the ability to connect to the spirit. And if the medium is not attuned through their development, this is where the challenges can come in. If the medium doesn't know if there is imagination or not, then their senses are not sensitive enough. They're not well attuned. They have perhaps need to go back a step or two, back to an awareness, to develop that inner self more and that connection to the spiritual centres. And only then can we start to make the steps towards connecting to the spirit. We have to connect to the inner before we can connect to the outer energies. I hope that makes sense for you. So really there's, again going back to what I said, there's no quick fix. You will get no's if it's your imagination. The more sensitive you become, the more you will know when you are connected to the spirit or not. And so there is something we call in mediumship called calling cards. Now, calling cards are individual for every person, and they're signs that you are connected to the spirit. So, for example, I feel the spirit coming close to me as a breeze. Okay, now I feel them as a cool breeze, and it's always on the right-hand side of my face. Now, when you sit for meditation and invite your guides to come close, or invite the spirit to join you, start to create that awareness of sensations in or around your body that don't belong to you. So, for example, some may feel a tingling on top of the head, a kind of cobweb-like sensation around the head. Some will feel a pressure on the forehead. Some will feel sensations on the back of the neck, and sometimes down the side of the arm. Oh, so many different sensations that one can experience. And in our seminars, we always go around and ask people what experiences they've had when we do an attunement. And when we open them up to the spiritual energies. And 9 times out of 10, I've never had anyone turn around and say they haven't felt something. So when the spirit come close to you, the more sensitive you are, the more you will feel them. Now, I feel them as a cold breeze, and I'll explain that. Now, when we look at energy, the spirit energy vibrates on a very fast, high light frequency. And we, as humans, are on a very low, dense frequency. So if you imagine the spirit are vibrating very fast in the spirit world, and we're kind of down here somewhere, very dense, very low frequency. So for us to be able to connect to the spirit, what needs to happen? The spirit needs to be able to lower theirs slightly, and we need to learn to raise our vibrational frequency so we can make that connection. Makes sense, doesn't it? Now, when I'm feeling them as wind, it's because when the spirit come close to me, I am feeling their vibration makes a disturbance in the atmosphere. And it's that disturbance in the atmosphere that causes a vibration, which causes a wind, which causes an air. And because I'm sensitive, I can feel that. So really, it's all about energy. It's about making yourself, working on your inner self, so that you can become more sensitized to energy, so that you can feel what's going on around you, so that you are more in tune with your own vibration, your own energy, your own thoughts and feelings, and knowing when they're yours, or knowing when they're coming from another source. And this is really just down to development. When I very first started as a medium, I didn't feel that kind of energy as strongly as I feel it now. But that's taken years and years of development, of sitting in circles, sitting for meditation, and just allowing the development to happen in its own natural and gentle way. You cannot rush this. It has to happen in its own time. So I hope that's made sense for some of you and shed a bit of light as to how you can know if it's your imagination or if you're really connected to the spiritual world.